What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90, and I just want to start by saying a massive thank you to all of you. The support on the recent videos has been absolutely insane. We're getting closer and closer to 10,000 subscribers, which is the goal by the end of the year, and the last episode, we broke 200 likes, even though I asked for 150, so smash the like button down below. Let's try and hit 200 likes again on this video, and I want to give a shout out to Sven, who left his comment with his predictions of the previous week in the comments of the last video. I tried to find anyone in the comments that predicted Tottenham dropping points against Bournemouth, and I couldn't find it, so I went with Sven, who also left me a really nice compliment saying that I make good videos and to keep up the good work. So I really appreciate that. If you guys want to be featured in the next episode of the Premier League predictions, then drop yours down in the comments below for week 35, and if you pick maybe an upset of the week and you get it correct, maybe I'll choose your comment for the next week's episode. Now, before we get into the 35 predictions, let's have a little look back at week 34. Now, kicking it off, we had Crystal Palace up against Chelsea. I predicted a 2-0 away win to Chelsea, that Chelsea would score goals because they have been since the restart, and they did, but they conceded 2 as well, and it got a bit squeaky bum time for Chelsea, and but it ended 3-2, so fair enough, they still got the win. Next up was Watford versus Norwich. I predicted a 2-0 win to Watford. I was close, but Norwich taking an early lead meant that Watford had to go and win 2-1. Now, after this, it was Arsenal up against Leicester. I predicted a 2-1 win to Arsenal, and it definitely should have been. I mean, in the end, it shouldn't have been because Arsenal's second half was not a good performance, but the first half alone, Arsenal should have been about 3-0 up, and, you know, then things, I'm sure, would have been different, but it ended 1-1. It was controversial, and who knows, 10 minutes more of play, and Arsenal could have lost that game, but yeah, there we go. Man City, Newcastle. I predicted a 2-1 win to Manchester City. I thought it would be closer, but, you know, they played a full-strength team other than Aguero, who is out injured, and they got the win 5-0. Next up, Sheffield United versus Wolves. I predicted a low-scoring affair, a 1-1 draw, and Sheffield United, John Egan again scoring back-to-back games now for his first 2 games, I believe, in the Premier League. He scored the only goal, giving Sheffield United a 1-0 win, meaning that Wolves have had back-to-back defeats now in the Premier League. West Ham versus Burnley. I predicted a 1-1 draw between the two teams. West Ham dominant in terms of the stats, but cannot finish their chances. Burnley getting a classic Burnley 1-0 away win. Brighton and Liverpool. I predicted a 2-0 win to Liverpool, and then Liverpool went 2 goals up in the first 10 minutes, and I thought we were on for a goal fest. It did end 3-1 to Liverpool in the end. Now, the surprise result of the week, I guess you could say, was Bournemouth up against Tottenham. I predicted a 3-1 win to Tottenham, but it ended up in a 0-0 draw. Tottenham, the games for Tottenham lately have just been so boring. It's been very, very difficult to watch. Now, coming up after that, we had Everton versus Southampton. I predicted a 2-1 win to Everton, and it ended in a 1-1 draw. I did mistakenly say that Southampton's away form isn't as good as their home form in the last video. I got a lot of comments about it, and I realized, I was like, hang on a minute, how am I so wrong in that? And my head was in last season, especially as an Arsenal fan, when Arsenal have struggled to go to St. Mary's and get points. That's where my bias is. But in the last season, in 2018-19, Southampton, it was a much tougher place to go to St. Mary's than this season, where Southampton have actually been performing better away from home, and that 1-1 draw with Everton does reflect that also. And then Aston Villa, Manchester United. I predicted a 3-1 win to Manchester United, and it ended in a 3-0 win. So United looking very, very, very much nailed on, really, for the top 4, despite not actually being in it yet. So now we move on to the week 35 predictions. Remember, as I said, to drop yours down in the comments below for a chance to be featured in the next episode, and if you haven't already, hit the like button, then definitely go and do that, and subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Now, kicking it off, we have Norwich up against West Ham. Norwich all but down. They need to get at least 10 points, and I think their goal difference is terrible, so they probably need to win all 4 of their last games and hope that your Watford/West Ham lose all of their games. So not Norwich, they're out. They're out. They're down in the Championship. We've known that for a while, but not statistically. But either way, Norwich up against West Ham. West Ham, they should have got at least a goal against Burnley. I'm very, very surprised they didn't. And Norwich losing to Watford, that was always going to be a difficult game for them. I was very, very tempted to go for a 1-1 draw in this fixture, but I just don't see Norwich getting any points. They haven't had any points, really, I don't think, since the restart, and I don't see it happening here. I think their heads are gone, and I think West Ham do need this win because they're not totally safe yet, and I think they are just going to get the 2-1 away win. This could be a game that Norwich just win. West Ham really are a weird team, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win. I think West Ham need the win more, you know, realistically speaking. Obviously, technically speaking, Norwich need a win more than anyone, but I think West Ham will just do enough to pull through and get the win against Norwich, especially after failing to beat Burnley or even get a point against Burnley. They'll have something to prove in this fixture. The next one, another very difficult one to predict. Watford up against Newcastle. Watford, the bookies' favourites to take the 3 points here, and I was very, very tempted to go for Watford to win this game. but I can't. I don't know why. Watford will probably go and win this one now, but Newcastle, they haven't won many games in their last 5, but they also haven't lost either. They've been picking up a few draws here and there. They beat Bournemouth soundly last time they played away from home, and obviously when they're against Manchester City that played as well as they did and played as well as they have done, it's going to be difficult to get anything from that game. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but I'm not certain on that one. Coming up, a result that I am pretty certain on it is Liverpool up against Burnley. I think the hangover of winning the league for Liverpool has worn off. Obviously, they got absolutely destroyed by Manchester City. I do think Liverpool will continue their strong run of form at Anfield as always, and they'll be looking to break that Premier League points record. I think this win would move them on to 95 points. Is that right? 95 points. What an amount that is with the amount of games we have left to go. But I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Liverpool in this fixture. Now, the next one, another extremely tough one to predict. Sheffield United up against Chelsea. Sheffield United beating Wolves, beating Tottenham. Very, very good form. And I was so tempted. I keep saying this. This week's been a week of indecision. Very, very tempted to go for a 1-1 draw. But given that Chelsea, disregarding the FA Cup, where they still won against Leicester, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 1-0. But disregarding that, they have scored 2 or more goals in every game since the Premier League restart, and 3 goals in the last 2 games. So yes, there are questions to be had about their defence, but I think they're gonna score a couple of goals here, because Sheffield United, obviously they beat Wolves, they beat Tottenham, but the difference between Wolves and Tottenham and Chelsea right now is Wolves and Tottenham aren't scoring buckets of goals, Chelsea are. So I think Chelsea are just going to overrun Sheffield United a little bit. It's going to be cagey. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win to Chelsea in this fixture, because I do think Chelsea have a little bit more to play for than Sheffield United at this point. So I'm going to go for a Chelsea win. Now, the next game is Brighton up against Manchester City. And to be honest, if you're betting or anything like that, my bet tip of the week is Man City halftime, Man City full-time. Odds of 9 to 10, 1.9, however you want to look at it. I think those are ridiculous odds for Manchester City, the way they've been playing at the moment, to be winning at halftime and then win the game. I'm going to go for a 4-0 away win to Man City, but that's my bet tip of the week. Man City halftime, Man City full-time. Partly because the value on that is absolutely outrageous. So maybe that's worth a shout if you want to give it a try. Coming up after that, we have Wolves up against Everton. Very, very difficult again to predict. At Goodison Park, I reckon I'd give Everton the win here. Possibly a 1-0 win, because Wolves' games have been low scoring. Everton's games have been low scoring. In contrast to their previous results against each other, I think Wolves has scored 2 or more goals in the last 3 meetings between Everton in the league. So I was going to pick 2-2, but then I just look at the recent form. Perhaps, I don't know, they're not flowing in front of goal. Wolves in particular as well. They're struggling to score. They're not looking quite as fluid. And Everton, they randomly have games where there's like 5 goals in it, but for the most part, their games are quite low scoring. So instead of the 2-2 draw, I'm going to back the 1-1 draw in this fixture. Now, coming up after that, we have Aston Villa up against Crystal Palace. It's another tough one. It's another really tough one to predict, and I'm going to sit on the fence. I want to give Aston Villa the win. I really do. Do I give Aston Villa... You know what? Let's do it. I very rarely back Aston Villa to win, so I'm going to do it. They have to win way more than Crystal Palace. I was going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm going to swap it up. I'm going to say Aston Villa get the dub, 2-1. I know there's some Villa fans that watch these videos, and they say that I never back them. And last time I said that, and I addressed that I never back Aston Villa. I backed Aston Villa to win, and they lost. So, yeah. Villa, don't do me dirty. Get yourselves a win. Make the relegation battle interesting. I'm going to go for the 2-1 win to Aston Villa, I suppose. Now, coming up, the game of the week, the North London derby. Tottenham up against Arsenal. It's always a close affair. If this was at the Emirates, with the recent form of Arsenal and the recent form of Tottenham, it would be an easy Arsenal win in my eyes. I'd say 2-0 to Arsenal, but away from home. And Arsenal haven't been terrible away from home, but there is something psychological about going away in the North London derby. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, and I think there will be goals, because although Tottenham's had very low-scoring, boring games, the North London derby is different. Arsenal have been, they have been scoring goals lately. They have been looking like scoring goals, even if in the game against Leicester they didn't. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. This game is always close, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring draw in this one. Now, coming up after that, we have Bournemouth up against Leicester. This is going to be a real important game for Bournemouth. Can they get any points against Leicester? Sadly, I don't think so. Leicester looked like a much better team in the second half against Arsenal than they did in the first, and Bournemouth just don't quite have the firepower of Arsenal to overrun Leicester like Arsenal did in the first half, albeit only scoring 1 goal. Kasper Schmeichel had a brilliant game, making some very, very good and very crucial saves in the end. I think Bournemouth will score. They have to score. They have to try and win, but I think Leicester, they've had a pretty good season overall, even if their recent form isn't that great. They haven't been playing that well and getting the results they really need recently. I think Leicester will be just a little bit too much for Bournemouth, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win. Now, coming up, Manchester United up against Southampton. Now, Southampton, as we all know, have a pretty good away form, and Manchester United, arguably the informed team of the Premier League at the moment. They're looking very, very strong, and at home, I mean, typically in recent seasons, haven't done my research on this one, this is just anecdotal again, Man United, I think at least last year, had a bit of a dodgy home record. I think when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer first came in, they weren't winning at home, and they were doing very, very well away from home, but they're winning everywhere now, Manchester United, unbeaten. I don't think Bruno Fernandes has played in a losing Manchester United side, and he's been in the club since January. He's been looking very, very good, and the thing is with Fernandes, even when he has a bad game, he still has a good game. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have an amazing game against Aston Villa, but he still makes an impact. And the way he just changes the team, he makes Pogba into the player that we all know he is. And I think Man United are going to win this game, but I'm not counting Southampton out. I'm going with Danny Ings to score, James Ward-Prowse to potentially, let's go with a direct free kick. Why not, if he takes one? And Manchester United to score 3 goals again, as they continue to do in the league. 3-2 to Manchester United. So that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. As I said, let's try and break 200. Also, as I said, subscribe down below and turn on the bell so you don't miss a video. Let's try and hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and leave your comments down below for a chance to be featured in the next episode. But that's going to do it from me, and I will see you in the next video very soon.